Hey guys, Tim Percy here. One of the main reasons I don't have more fishing content on my channel is record time. I've used a few different cameras and recently have switched to GoPros, and I've been using them out on the water as much as possible. But it always seems to be that the cameras would run out of battery life before I would get all my fishing in. And I've turned off a lot of the functions on the GoPro to try to extend the battery life, but that still didn't work out. Generally, as a rule of thumb, I can be out on the water 5 to 8 hours at a time. And to go through the process of switching out batteries while on the water was just a pain. And I get a little bit worried about dropping things into the water and losing cameras, losing batteries, what have you. I've tried a couple different battery extenders. This is the Wasabi one, and I get a few extra hours out of the recording, but even still I found myself missing a lot of the fishing that I would like to record. Generally, as a rule of thumb, I was finding the GoPro by itself, even with a lot of the functions turned off, I would only get about an hour's worth of record time. That and memory cards. I think for the most part I got up to 64 gigabytes of memory. I recently discovered that the Samsung EVO, see if I can get that in there, EVO 256 cards will work in the GoPros. So I picked up a couple of those, tested them out. Yep, they work great. Looking at them, I can get about 11 hours of 1080p in 60 frames record time out of that. So that problem for memory at least was solved for me. Now I just had to extend the battery life. Did a little research and found a company called 3BR PowerSports that make a couple USB adapters for the GoPros and the GoPro Heroes and the GoPro Sessions. So with that, there's a couple different options you can come up with. Some guys opt to running the USB cable out of the GoPros into a power pack and attaching that somewhere. One thing that 3BR PowerSports has is they've actually got waterproof USB ports. So I think I'm going to probably install one or two of these on the kayak as well to plug the cables directly into. Go through how to hook these up to your camera and what the setup is like. So this is what you get for the GoPro Session. Little instruction manual. The aluminum frame. I should add that when you order these, you've got, for the Session, you've got 5 different options in cable length. You've got a 9-inch, you got an 18-inch, 36-inch, 48-inch, and a 66-inch. I went with the 66-inch just so that I've got some options on the kayak where I place my cameras and possibly where I put a USB port, or whether I've got another setup that I'll show you. And then you've got a couple of these, I guess they're called tulip nuts, and a retaining clip. I'll take these out, put those in there. Just take your GoPro Session, pop it open, simply remove the door, just a quite little twist. Off it comes. Again, I'm running these with the Samsung EVO 256 card. Give me lots of time. So now your GoPro session simply slides, let's do it the right way, simply slides into the frame. There's no screw that retains the session in place, so that's one thing that they warn you about. It's retained in by the cable itself. 3BR PowerSports developed the frame itself, so that you've got a couple options on how you want to mount it, whether straight up as such, or if you want to put it on an angle or sideways like this. I do mine straight up. Simply slide it in and start this off by adding the top. Take your cable out, package, so as you can see, the plug that goes into the session itself is designed around the frame and the session itself to help keep a watertight seal. Simply plug it in, make sure you get it in there seated well. As you can see, it holds the session in the frame. Retaining clamp and the tulip nuts help apply some pressure, keep it down in there, help with the seal. And there you go. That one's pretty simple, straightforward. Now, depending on how you want to mount your GoPro on your kayak, you've got a number of different options. I'll go over some of mine in a minute. For the GoPro Hero, I've got a Hero Black. This is, let's get in there. Again, you got 5 different options on cable length: 9-inch, 18-inch, 36-inch, 48-inch, and 66-inch. I went with the 66-inch again. Like I say, it gives me options of where I'm going to place it. For now, I can just tie up the cord if it's too long. I've got another option for power that I may end up ordering the shorter cords for. So with the kit, again, you get your instruction manual, you get your cable, and you get the retaining clamp with a alcohol steri-swip to mount it onto your frame. To mount the pivot block onto your GoPro frame, simply unscrew the nut, take that part off. What you're going to do is this longer leading edge goes along this longer leading edge, and this little short indent lines up right perfectly there. So what you're going to do is it's going to look like that. First thing you want to do, take the alcohol swab that comes with it, pull that out, and clean the surface very well. Get dirt and debris off of there, any oil that may be on there. Give it a second to dry off. Next thing you're going to do is you want to take the backing the 3M tape. Pull that off. It's very sticky, so make sure you align it the way you want it before you touch it down. So just get everything lined up. Now, they recommend you squeeze it in place and hold it for about a minute to let the glue from the tape set up. Try to push as much pressure as you can with your fingers without breaking anything, of course. So now, like with the session, got to remove the side door. Simply pull it off, take that off. Get the session in place. Let's clamp it in here. Or sorry, the Gopro Hero 5 in place, clamp it in. Take our cable. Put the clamp back on, thumb screw, take your cable, plug it in, make sure it's seated in there well, and then just twist the clamp down, put it over in place, and simply tighten the thumb screw. There you have it. I get cable. So as I mentioned, you've got a couple of different options for power sources. You can use a power pack. Here's the 3BR PowerSports USB port. I'll go over that real quick. Power pack itself comes positive and a ground. It's fused already, so depending on where you're going to install it, you simply drill a hole. I think it's about a 1-inch hole, and slide it through. It's got the locking nut, put it in place, and your USB simply plugs in. They give you an option if you're concerned about having it watertight. This is a tape. Then they have a fitting that goes over your USB port. Simple as that. I'm not going to bother going through the tape, but there's some very sticky tape that you can put over top, which will seal it there. And then what happens is when you plug it in, it gives you a watertight seal over top. Prevent any moisture getting in there if that's one of your concerns. I'm probably going to install this port on my battery box that I have mounted on my H-crate. I normally have one of my cameras mounted on the H-crate anyways, on the H-rail. So this will give me a close source to plug some power into. So here's one of my other options I've got for a power source. This is the RAM tube power bank that I built. You can see one of my previous videos. You can see my build video on this. So for this, I can simply mount the camera on the ram. Take the cable. This is the one option where I may end up going with the ordering a shorter cable. Take it in, plug it in. Now we've got a power source right at the camera. So just as a little last minute side note, I decided to see if I could get the 3BR PowerSports boot that fits over the USB to fit over top of my setup, and it just so happens it does. So that'll add a little moisture protection to the plug there when I'm out on the water. It fits around there quite nicely, actually. The 3BR PowerSports external power kit, that should give me, depending on what I'm using, basically an unlimited power supply for my GoPros. That and the 256 gigabyte Samsung EVO cards, it gives me over 11 hours of record time at 1080p, 60 frames. That, hopefully I'll get a little bit more fishing footage.